London is one of the most incredible cities in the world, but it's also one of the most expensive. So today I'm breaking down exactly how much it costs to spend 3 days in London, from flights, hotels, transportation to meals, attractions. Whether you're traveling on a budget or you just want to plan smart, I'll show you how to save money, including how staying a few tube zones outside of the city center can literally cut your accommodation costs in half. Let's start with flights. This is going to be one of your most expensive costs, and honestly it's probably going to determine if you even take the trip to begin with or not. And the hard part about this for me and for this video is that the cost vastly depends on where you're coming from and what time of the year you are traveling. For the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about coming from the US, and of course flying from a big city is going to be significantly cheaper than a smaller city. I'm from LA, so that's what I'm going to use for this comparison. So let's pull up Google Flights and look at the calendar. We can say that on average a round trip flight from LA will cost you between $600 and $800, but there are plenty of days where you can get a round trip flight from around $400. As we continue to scroll, you of course see prices skyrocket around Christmas because one, of course, everyone wants to travel around Christmas, and two, London is world famous for their Christmas light displays, and it really is such a magical time to visit. But you can see that they do go back down around mid-January, and they're very affordable until about May, and that's when prices get super expensive again for summer. So if you can be as flexible as possible, you will get the best deal, of course. But let's just say for this video, we'll assume a round trip flight costs $600 US, or about 470 pounds. Now let's talk about where you stay, because this really can make or break your budget. If you stay in Zone 1, you're right in the center. Think Westminster, Soho, Covent Garden, where you can just walk past Big Ben in the morning as you grab your coffee, or see the London Eye lit up at night as you're walking back to your hotel at the end of a nice sightseeing day. And of course, the hard part about this one, just like flights, is that this is going to fluctuate depending on how far in advance you booked your hotel and what time of the year you are booking it for. But on average, a budget hotel or a small Airbnb for 2 people will be about 180 to 220 pounds per night, and a mid-range hotel will be about 250 to 350 pounds per night. Obviously, this increases from there if you want to stay in super bougie hotels like Taylor Swift's favorite, the Landmark London. But let's not get too crazy and say 3 nights, that's roughly about 600 to 900 pounds just on accommodation in Zone 1. But something I highly recommend doing if you are on a budget is staying a little bit further out, like Zone 2 or 3. London isn't like a lot of those cities where if you're not directly in the city center, the journey getting to the city center is long and tedious and expensive. Like for example, I used to live in Hammersmith, which is Zone 2, and it would only take me 15 minutes on the tube to get to Big Ben. So of course, the further you stay out, the prices drop dramatically, but the commute time doesn't always increase. I now live in Twickenham, which is in Zone 5. So if you look on the map, you might think, oh my god, that's so far away, I would never stay out there. But there's a direct train from Twickenham to London Waterloo, and which is right in front of the London Eye, so as central as it gets. It's only 3 stops in 23 minutes. So again, from Zone 2 to Zone 5, but it's only 7 minutes longer than it used to be when I lived in Hammersmith. So you just gotta look at that. So I highly encourage you to do research on places that are a little bit further out, but still have great connections via public transportation to the city center, so it'll save you a lot of time. I go into more detail about how the tube works, including daily cabs, using contactless cards, and kind of just understanding the tube map in general in my video, How to Take the Tube in London. So definitely give that a watch before your trip, because I do think it'll help you with your research. But let's just say that you chose Zone 3. Your average Airbnb is going to cost you around 90 to 120 pounds per night, or a mid-range hotel will be about 130 to 150 pounds per night. So for the same 3 nights, that's around 300 to 400 pounds, which is literally half the price. Now, we briefly talked about this, but let's dive into it a little bit more. London's public transportation system, which is one of the best in the world and really can be affordable if you plan right. Buses are a flat fee of $175 for 1 hour, so that means that you can hop on and off as many buses as you want within that hour, and you'll still only pay $175 in total, which is another hack to save you money. Please, 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 please do not spend 40 plus pounds on one of those hop on, hop off bus tours. You can literally do the exact same thing on public buses, which are still double deckers, and it's $175. And now let's talk about tubes. So each tube ride in Zone 1 costs about £2.70, and the daily cap for a Zone 1 to 2 is $8.10. So if you're staying in Zone 3, your daily cap cap is going to be $9.60, so you'll never pay more than that in a day no matter how many times you ride, which is amazing. So for 3 days you can budget about 25 to 30 pounds total for transportation depending on which zone you're staying in. So again, you would think that staying further out would make you spend so much more money on transportation, but it really doesn't. Now let's talk food, because this can add up fast. If you eat like a local and mixed restaurants with markets, here's a realistic breakdown. For breakfast, grab a coffee and a pastry. It'll be about 5 to 8 pounds. For lunch, think food markets like Borough Market, Seven Dials Market, oh, those are the best, which will be around 10 to 15 pounds. Food markets are my favorite place to eat at wherever I am in the world. I just love that when I'm traveling, but especially London. There are so many incredible ones to choose from, like Mercado Mayfair, which is inside this old church. It is absolutely stunning. Leadenhall Market, which is a filming location for the first Harry Potter film, also stunning, and so many other ones. So check out this video for all the best food markets for you to check out during your trip. And for dinner, you can budget about 15 to 20 pounds for a pub meal or like a casual restaurant. So you're looking at about 40 to 50 pounds per day on food, or 120 to 150 total for the 3 days. Of course, if you splurge on a fancier dinner or cocktails, you can easily add on another 50 to 100. Now let's talk about activities and attractions. Of course, this is the first section that you literally don't have to spend any money if you don't want to. You can easily have an amazing trip in London just walking around and seeing all the sights for free. There's no need to spend money if you don't want to, but I am going to go through some of the most popular attractions just so you can kind of pick and choose what's important to you to spend money on. And then from here, you can create your own budget. So before I do dive in, if you haven't watched my London 3-day itinerary yet, please do. It is so detailed and has a downloadable Google map that you can just follow along while you're on your trip. And I know I'm biased because I made it, but it really is an amazing itinerary that allows you to see all of the major sites in London in just 3 days. So obviously I'm not going to go through all of that in this video. If you want it all detailed out for you, you can watch that video. But what I'll do is quickly just bring up the day-by-day attractions on the screen with prices so you can just kind of see which ones you want to pay for. So for day 1, that's the Westminster area. So we have Westminster Abbey for 19 pounds, Churchill War Rooms for 32 pounds, London Eye for 26 pounds, and then the rest of the items on that day are free. So that's a total of around 20 to 65 pounds depending on what you choose. Day 2 is the Tower Bridge area. So you have Tower of London for 34.80, going up into Tower Bridge for 12 pounds, and St. Paul's Cathedral for 25 pounds. The rest of the attractions that day are free. So that's a total of 55 to 90 pounds depending on what you choose. Day 3 starts in Kensington and ends in Covent Garden. So you just have Kensington Palace for 24 pounds. That's the only paid thing on the agenda for the day. The rest is just free. You're just walking around, just seeing different areas, parks, museums. So really, I'd say this day is completely free because I personally wouldn't pay to go inside Kensington Palace. But if you want to, that's a total of 24 pounds for the day. So adding everything up for attractions for 3 days, you're looking at roughly 80 to 180 pounds depending on how many you decide to pay for. All right, so now let's tally it all up for a 3-day London trip for one person staying in zone 3. Flights, 470 pounds, accommodation for 3 nights, 350 pounds, transportation, 30 pounds, food, 150, attractions, 100 pounds, so total 1,080 pounds, which is about 1430 USD. Or if you stay in zone 1, add on an additional 400 pounds, which brings your total to 1480, which is just under 2,000 US dollars. So by staying just a few tube stops further out, you could save around 400 pounds or roughly 500 US dollars, which is more than enough to cover all your food and your attraction costs. So that's your full cost breakdown for 3 days in London. Now let's dive into my 3-day itinerary to help you make the most of your time there.